Right, so we'll see how we go, and if we're talking to an empty room at about 4:15, we'll call it a day. Because as much as I rehearse my presentation, one doesn't like talking to one's own every day of the week. Anyway, the panel comprises Paul Sacher, who you've met, Professor Ken Fox, who you've met, Mike, who you just met there, Paul Kelly, who you've met as well, but Jonathan, on the end, you've just joined us. So can you just do a quick intro to who you are, sir?
Yeah, my name's Jonathan Williams. I'm the CEO of Shock Limited. We now have 240 active lifestyle centres for kids, 5 to 16-year-olds in 14 territories around the world. So I hopefully will have a little bit of a commercial input to some of the discussion, how you make everything that we've discussed today come alive from a commercial perspective as well, so we can actually make kids active.
Brilliant. Right, I've got some questions that have already been fed through to me, and then we'll throw it open to the floor. Tom Thompson, fitness consultant at Riviera International Centre, says, and Paul Sacher, this is one for you, is the stigma of being fat more damaging to a child's psychological health than the actual condition?
Well, I think the one thing about stigma is obviously a few people today have referred to healthy weight people, children and adults, as normal. It's actually not normal to be overweight or obese. There are more overweight and obese adults and children, or adults, as there are healthy weight. So I think we really need to move away from the word normal and refer to people either as a healthy weight, overweight or obese. I think obviously as more children are becoming overweight or obese, they aren't standing out as much as they used to. So when I first started working in this area, kids were being bullied and being called names, but now I know many kids who we work with who are overweight or obese who don't have any issues around being called names because they might be overweight, but they're by far not the most overweight kids. So I think the stigma does still play an important part, especially in terms of self-esteem and confidence and all the things that Ken was talking about. But my sense, and this is just anecdotal, is that it's becoming less of an issue as more people become overweight or obese, particularly kids.
Ken, do you have anything to add there?
Well, no, except I'd agree. I think kids deal with things in different ways, and Laurel's work that I presented earlier shows that some kids deal with it very well and some struggle with it. And a lot of it's to do with friendships, because friendships are so important to kids that that's the way it tends to affect them. But I think the issue is about long-term behaviours. I mean, obese children are not ill. They become ill as adults, really. A few become ill in their late teens, but really it's about long-term effects on behavioural patterns. Are they active as they get older? Do they eat well when they get older? So if it counteracts good behaviour, then it's damaging.
I think just to say one thing about self-esteem is the research we've done has shown that many kids who are overweight or obese do not have a low self-esteem, and we shouldn't just assume because a kid's obese that they have a low self-esteem. What we find is self-esteem is based on many components, and the one component that is affected by being obese is your kind of physical competence, so how good you think you are being physically active, as well as body esteem, so what you think of your own body. So we focus particularly on those dimensions of self-esteem. And one of the activities we do during our program for the 7 to 13-year-olds, it's a very simple activity. It's called Good Things About Me. And what you do is you get all the kids, this is at the end of the program, you get all the kids in the group to write one good thing about all the other kids in the group, as well as the parents. So the parents write one good thing. And then those are basically read out to the group, and then they get a little poster, Good Things About Me. Because for many of these kids, they actually haven't had people saying good things about them or complimenting them. And this was really brought home to me by one of the first girls I worked with on a feasibility trial, Hannah. She came from a family where both her older sisters were obese, her mother was obese. When they heard that there was a program available, they kind of rushed to come on board because they didn't want Hannah to grow up to have all the problems that her sister and her mother had. When we did this activity, a couple of the boys, or I assume the boys in the group, had written that she's pretty, a good sense of humour, and a couple of other things. She actually started crying because it was the first time she'd actually heard someone say that she was pretty. I mean, such a basic thing, but that really brought home to me how many of these kids have so much negative attention on their weight from some of their parents, school, teachers. So even just doing very simple activities like that can make a huge difference.
I dipped into Laurel's session this morning, and it may well be that it's the parents who are more worried about it than the young people themselves. Certainly, when I don't know if you joined the team, Mike, when we were first piloting Sport Unlimited, and we were literally sort of standing at the park gate saying, "Are you sporty or semi-sporty? If you're sporty, not get out of here." But we're really targeting the semi-sporty kids, and parents were saying, "Oh no, my son's really sporty. You know, they walk to school." Da, da, da. And it's almost the thing that the parents wouldn't acknowledge it. Okay, moving swiftly on to the next question, and Ken, be prepared. What needs to be done to meet the exercise needs of children with disabilities?
Yeah, that's a challenging one. I actually think the answer lies in resource and lobbying for resource, and that's not a trite answer. I mean, I've worked in the United States, and legislation covers that, you know, children have to be provided for with disabilities, and they have adapted physical education departments in universities because of that. So it just shows that if the legislation is there, then the practice will follow. Otherwise, it will always lag behind, and I think we deal with it very inadequately in this country. But I don't have any serious answers.
Jonathan?
Well, yeah, just in terms of I suppose, access to, I mean, there's something that's very prevalent in the adult exercise industry, the Inclusive Fitness Initiative, and it's about access, it's about exposing kids to an experience, and for us in our centres, it's something that's at the core and forefront of what we try and do. So we're actually trying to get physically active kids with physically, in some way, disabled kids working out together. So a lot of what we try and do now with our equipment design, how we put programs together, is actually putting kids together so they're experiencing activity alongside each other, because that's critical. That then lets them all have an understanding that, hey, listen, we can all do this, we can all do it together, and we can all achieve together. So that's absolutely critical.
Yeah, and I think there are millions of examples of good practice out there, and it's a bit like we did on Sport Unlimited. It's finding those and sort of making sure everybody knows about them. You know, when I had my rant this morning about how much more research have we got to do, it's more about evidence in the things that work. I think it's capturing that sort of stuff. Anyone else want to come in there, or shall we?
It would be good to hear what the questioner feels. Are we allowed to do that?
I could do. This was Colin Baker? Bowker, sorry.
Yeah, I'm Colin Bowker from the Care Quality Commission, which, for those of you who don't know us, is the regulator of social care and healthcare in England. I don't think I have any particular ideas about this, except I think I've been struck that the day hasn't made mention of it. And that sector is one that isn't easy to reach. And it's not just about fitness either. I think that such children, because of their inactivity at times, may actually have dietary problems that need addressing differently from more able-bodied or other children who don't have learning disabilities or sensory disabilities or other physical disabilities. So it's great to hear about things like children having access to wildernesses and climbing walls and all sorts. But for disabled children, there's the extra challenge of the support they need for that. And I think that I would have liked to have heard a higher profile of that during the day.
Yeah, I think, acknowledged. Right, this next question comes from Julie Duffy, Play Development Manager, SCUS. Help me out here, Mike. Sorry about that. What are the panel's thoughts on how play, especially outdoor play, can contribute to increased physical activity and reduce obesity? Jonathan, do you want to kick off on that one?